Let's go to this violent protest in Yemen, which is reportedly simmering, at least for now. Shiite rebels struck a deal with the country's president late Wednesday after storming his residence and holding him captive there. The agreement ends what local officials have labeled an attempted coup. The deal promises to amend Yemen's constitution and give the rebels more representation in its parliament. Just 4 months ago, as the Washington Post points out, President Obama was holding up Yemen as a success story in the fight against terror. The president said, quote, "This strategy of taking out terrorists who threaten us while supporting partners on the front lines is one that we have successfully pursued in Yemen and Somalia for years."
Boy, I tell you what, you had Donald Rumsfeld saying a few things he wished he could have gotten back about Iraq. There is just a chapter and verse on the president keeps providing these quotes that keep suggesting he may either be out of touch with the war on terror or he may just wish it didn't exist.
You don't want to make comments that are confident in predictions about any Middle Eastern state. But now, look, we've got 4 countries in the Middle East that are essentially failed states. 3 for sure. Syria, Libya, and Yemen. Iraq, arguably, 4th. This one wasn't our doing, unlike the other 3.
Right.
But the fact is, you've got a country roughly the size of Saudi Arabia that is on the brink of failure, totally infiltrated by these terrorist groups, and we've lost essentially any sort of a partner in the global effort against terrorism here. This is a serious piece of bad news.
Yeah, no doubt about it. You know, Jim Van Dyke, Republicans obviously are bringing this up, but foreign policy analysts as well. The president said ISIS is JV, and then he said, well, you can put Kobe Bryant in a JV uniform, but he's still JV player. All this while they are actually gaining ground in Syria despite bombing runs. This president, does he just wish terrorism didn't exist? I mean, is he trying to wish it away? Because that's
it's certainly the fairest critique of that speech is how much he diminished the lingering threat, the idea that the Middle East, the idea that Syria, the idea that Yemen, these places are safe.
And I'm genuinely curious, why does he keep doing that? Why does he keep saying things that Democratic foreign policy? I mean, Dr. Brzezinski would say, Richard Haas would say, I mean, Democrats, independents, Republicans would say, that's just not connected with reality. And I'm serious
here. Dangerous politics.
It's dangerous politics. But what is the purpose of it? Why does he do that?
I think my guess is, and I don't know definitively what's in his head, but I think his reasoning would be that he's trying to say that we've had lots of success in Afghanistan and Iraq, and that my overall approach to fighting terrorism and dealing with these threats actually works by putting these things in manageable boxes. The problem with that is like, there's lots of evidence that it doesn't work. And I think your point, don't ever declare, and no president should ever declare any success in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, Libya again until
Willie, no mission accomplished. No more mission accomplished.
Richard, how dangerous is Yemen to the United States? How close is it or can it be to Syria, which is to say a place where we thought we might be able to make some partners to fight terrorism, and now it's not clear who that partner would be. And we see people coming out of there, going back to Europe, for example, and committing acts of terror.
Well, it's dangerous in 2 ways. One is the one you just suggested as a base from which people would return. The other is a base against other Middle Eastern states. We should never forget that when ISIS changed its name to the Islamic State, their goal was to transform the region. So Yemen then becomes a foundation stone, among other places, from which they can go after Saudi Arabia, which is ultimately the crown jewel. I think the question of why the president keeps doing this, look at the beginning of the State of the Union. What was his first foreign policy point? It was that American troops were coming home from Afghanistan. The principal narrative of foreign policy is what we've been able to stop doing, and essentially bring troops back home from Iraq and Afghanistan. And I think the administration is putting way too much emphasis on that and not enough on conditions in the region.